And I guess like recording in progress. Here we go. So, yeah. So where do we leave off at? We was talking about. You said something about what was the argument?
I think I didn't understand what you were saying, but
Yeah,
maybe we should
I
just
think
move
I was.
on.
Okay, okay.
So,
You wonder
Young Zealous,
why?
why do you believe in God?
Yeah, I believe in God because what is God? Okay, He's like a higher intelligence, higher being, or whatever. We call him like a spirit. And so, like to me, I believe spirit and energy can be kind of synonymous sometimes. So if I believe in energy in some sense, whatever that energy is, there's many energies, then I can also believe that there's a God or afterlife or different realms. So I believe God is the ultimate energy being the being who gives out life and in different forms. And I just believe God would be the best explanation for
But what's your evidence?
my evidence. Shoot, multiple cases as far as like some of my evidence is online. I've documented the dreams that I had that actually came true. Like I asked God to manifest some of the stuff, and and some of the people on my Facebook they were able to see it. Atheists, Satanists, different people. My evidence, I would say, I can't even go to all the details, but one of the biggest evidence I would say personally will be the Noah's Ark being found preserved in volcano on the Ararat.
Okay, so let me quickly respond to that. You
Go
know
ahead.
that the serious Christian organizations that are like proponents of Noah's Ark, they don't even believe Noah's Ark's been found.
Who?
Like, I don't know their names, but it's not like taken seriously amongst any of the Christian organizations that are proponents, the major proponents of Noah's Ark being true. None of them actually think that Noah's Ark has been found. They said that it has not been found and is unlikely to ever be found because it was made of wood, so it actually would have decomposed over thousands of years.
Yeah, that's really why I said what I said because okay, so Ron Wyatt is a name that I got, and Ron Wyatt is like he basically went over there. I think it was kind of illegal a little bit because he went into the land to go research to find if there was boats or any boats in there or any like archaeological stuff that's in there. He got some of the direction from a historian named Josephus. Josephus. He speaks about that these remains in the Bible still remain in the former lands. Josephus is old, but okay. So dealing with Ron Wyatt, actually, the actual truth is this is the truth about it, and you can research this one if you haven't been up to date about this stuff. The art they have made this actually a park now in Turkey. Atheists. Ron Wyatt, he got in contact with the atheists and with the Muslims, atheists and the Muslims. It was few atheists, but the Muslims they didn't believe that was a boat. But after they got to go down there and scan everything, they saw the bars and all the stuff that was down in the wood and whatever, and the animal feces. It's just so much. They found so much evidence. They found the boulders, and the Crusades have found it too. Also, you can find that too. Also, on this podcast, I will pop it all up so you'll see. You know what I'm saying? And so they'll show the boulders that have the Crusades marking on it. And that's what Josephus said. He said that they found that stuff. It's just a lot of evidence, even the size of it and stuff like that. What it's made out of. So it's an official place. This is what the Muslims did. Now like Muslims, they own a lot of this land that the Christians or Jews used to own. So they don't really want this to be evidence towards them, but they actually acknowledged it. So you can watch the documentary. They sacrificed a goat or something like that in that spot for Noah. They call him Noah, something like that. And because they recognize, oh, this is where it's at. But me and you have a history with like Islam, right? So like the argument against Islam on this argument about Noah is this: they say that Noah landed on Mount Judy, something like that, Mount Judy. It's not. It's on Ararat. By them declaring that that's where it was at on Ararat, where the Bible actually says in Genesis, they're actually proving themselves wrong because the Quran says that it's on Mount Judy. That's just a little nugget for you on that one. It's weird, but that's what we do. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? The truth is what it is. Hey. So, but that's anybody can look it up, check it out, because that's some real stuff. But
okay, well, look, I think we're like at the end, so we can't
Okay,
really get
before
into
we
discussion.
end,
But I will
because
leave the
Brad wants to ask you a
audience if
question.
you
He just
want.
got back on live. He wants to ask you a question.
Well, I want to leave the audience with a question about Noah's Ark for any Noah's Ark believers.
Okay,
Look, when the Ark landed, right?
yeah,
How did the motherfucking kangaroos get to Australia? But
I already answered that before.
move on.
Yeah, not here, but so
Okay, so let's just move on to the whatever.
okay,
You said
Brad. Okay, Brad, Godless Girl is here. She's back. And yeah, if you want to ask a question, any of you guys want to ask a question?
about the Ark?
Well, I already answered that one already because we talked about it before. But if you want to entertain that, you can. Like, let's see if Brad.
Sir, do you believe in Noah's Ark?
Do I believe in Noah's Ark?
Yeah, you believe there was a global flood, and that every animal on Earth is descended from like two animals that were on the Ark.
It's gonna be interesting how he answers. Let's see. Yeah.
Do I believe?
Okay, so, sir, come on now. Look, so the Earth was like flooded with water, so like it would have been all covered in salt water, right? So just think about this. How many fucking gallons do you think the freshwater aquarium was on the Ark to hold two of every species of freshwater animal, right? Which there's hundreds of. It's just ridiculous. It's just, you're a clown.
It sounds ridiculous, but that's God for you.
Look, they've actually built an exact replica of the Ark because the Bible is very specific about how many cubits the measurements were back then, how big the Ark was. It's like the Ark wouldn't even be the current replica of the Ark would have to be like the size of the aquarium it would take, the freshwater aquarium, to have like just the freshwater animals on there, let alone all the others. Right? It's just ridiculous.
Levels, like if you think about, like, could it be at certain levels of the water? There could be certain things flowing, like just like it is today. Because there's certain there's a separation even in water of salt water and also.
If the whole water, Earth is covered with water, there's nothing separating the water.
I mean, it could be streams of different types of stuff. Like there's
mixed together.
I gotta say this now. This is real. Now they have streams in the actual ocean. Like there's an ocean, and then there's actually streams of water running through the ocean. That's an actual thing. And then also the other weird thing that Muslims use as like evidence or something like that, whatever, for their stuff, whatever. But it's just really just a global thing. But it is what it is. But it's like a split in the waters. There's some places where there's salt water and then there's fresh water, like split. So like to me, I don't like literally what Brad said. I literally would just say, yes, I think it's possible, even though it doesn't seem possible to us right now because obviously we're like limited. We're not really.
Okay, well, sorry, I was talking about Mark, but does he have a question? Because actually, I do have to go soon.
Okay, Brad, you have a question? You have a question towards Godless Girl, I guess, towards atheism?
Yeah. So, why would you want to be atheist? Why would you want to not believe in God? Is my question.
Well, whether I want atheism to be true is another matter, right? I actually might think it'd be kind of cool to believe in God, right? Like ignorance is bliss, but I don't think that what we want to be true is relevant to what is actually true. So even if I want to believe in God, that doesn't mean that it's rational to believe that a God does exist.
Can you say that again? That quote that you said, the last quote that she said sounded good. I don't know why. But what was the last thing you just said?
Rationally,
what we want to be true, what we desire to be true, is irrelevant to what is actually true.
Yeah, but that can mean atheism is wrong too. Also, so it's like.
So the truth is that we all die, right? We're born, we die, right?
Yeah, and you don't want
So
you don't want to like die and not come alive again. You want to come alive again, so that's why you believe it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing of faith. Because if we didn't have faith,
yeah, if you're just admitting that you're irrational.
Say that again.
Look, if you're admitting that you believe it just because you want it to be true, your desire for it to be true is not evidence that it's true, right? So by admitting that you believe it just because you want it to be true, you're admitting you're irrational.
You're alive, right? So that's evidence that God exists.
No, I don't take that to be it. Look, there could be a God that didn't create life, right? So I don't see how life is. Look, there was a time. Look, if there's evidence for something, the opposite observation is evidence against it. Sir, excuse me. In order for something to be counted as evidence for a hypothesis, the opposite observation would have to be evidence against it. But what is the negation of life being evidence for God? The non-existence of life being evidence against God. But by your own theology, there existed a time in which there was no life besides God. But at that time, you wouldn't have taken the observation that no life exists as evidence against God. So you're just like refuting your own hypothesis.
Sorry, 1 second. My phone's being weird. It's dying.
Yeah, he doesn't have a response.
Okay, that I ain't gonna lie, that was kind of good. I ain't gonna lie.
Does anyone else have a question? That guy was destroyed.
Right, come back in. Tag team. I think that was a good point. I wouldn't have made the argument. I never would make that argument because I don't think that's.
So are you basing off of science, or are you just basing off of what?
But am I basing what off science?
Yeah.
Just like our existence on science, just because we exist.
Look, I don't.
So you think
What do you mean by existence? So look, I don't have to give an account, right, for why the universe is here or why I exist, right? I don't even have to believe in evolution. That doesn't entail that a God exists. Right? I don't have to take a position on anything, on any of that.
I want to say this, Godless Girl. I want to get in before y'all get back into it, but I want to make sure that this is like understood, because this is one of the issues with me and the atheist community, or just the atheist belief. It's like it's not fair to me in my mind of debate and respectful dialogue that someone could say that like it's almost like saying, hey, you guys believe in God, go, you explain yourself. But we don't believe in God. We never can. We don't have to explain ourselves. To me, it's like lazy intellectualism. I think it's not fair because it's called the burden of proof. But I don't like the burden of proof because I think that's not actually being genuine. To me, it's not. But I think
I'm not making a claim. So like when it comes to the existence of the universe, I don't know why the fucking universe is here. How the fuck would I know? But it's other people that are claiming they do know, and they think that they know God created it. So the burden of proof is on them.
Yeah, that's good. I feel it.
To know? Do you care to know?
What? I didn't hear you.
Do you care to know? He said.
Sure. Do you have some evidence that God created the universe?
No, he said, "Do you care to know?" He don't ask the question with a question because he's going to go around. He's going to get distracted by that question. Like being genuine on that.
I thought he was offering an explanation. Yeah, yeah. If you.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead.
Yeah. I do care to know. If you know why the universe is here, and you can explain to me with some evidence. Sure, go ahead.
Okay, he can't hear you. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Here we go. Can you say that again? Godless Girl.
No. Oh yeah. Look, I don't know why the universe is here. You're asking me, do I care to know? Sure, if somebody, but I'm not going to believe anybody when they tell me unless they have some evidence.
You hear that?
But yeah, I would care to know. If somebody had some evidence, I would care to know. Do you have any evidence, sir?
It's kind of ridiculous to believe that random chance created it, I think. That's my logic.
Okay. The universe, meaning that the universe is like we know that it is expanding right now, but cosmologists tell us one day it's going to be the opposite. And like, excuse me, sir, I wasn't finished. You're being rude. Like so many options, right? Maybe a God created the universe. Maybe the universe existed past eternally. Maybe it didn't have a cause. You're right. Yeah, right. Like maybe it came out of nothing, like randomly came out of nothing. Although I don't think like that's very plausible, but you can't say that it's impossible, right? Because if it was the case that nothing existed, nothing being the absence of everything, then if nothing existed, there would be nothing preventing the universe from coming about. And it also could be the case that we live in an oscillating universe. So right now, cosmologists tell us that, the universe is expanding, but one day it will do the opposite and it could collapse in on itself. Maybe that's happened an infinite number of times, right? And every time a universe collapses on itself, it results in a new Big Bang. Maybe we live in a multiverse with it, like a multiverse that's existed past eternally, and that there's like an infinite number of universes in this multiverse. There's just maybe there's another option that's not even occurring to us. There's just so many options. So what's the evidence for God? What's the evidence for God? What's the evidence for God, sir?
So do you fear death?
What? He's talking about death. Okay, so he's abandoned the universe. I guess he had some like evidence from the universe, but he's abandoned that because of my response now. I just want the audience to know he's abandoned his first piece of evidence. So now he's talking about death. Yeah, people die, sir. And I guess you believe that after they die, they come along alive again? Is that the claim?
So like
I especially fear the dying process. So what?
So you do fear death. So you fear the inevitable.
Okay.
But you fear it, right? Yes?
Yeah, I mean, I could say more about it because.
Why do you fear it then?
Well, I think it's just a natural human instinct. I think we evolved our fear of death. Well, especially, so we're going to have to make a distinction between death and dying, right? So the dying process is definitely something to fear because it tends to be very unpleasant and there's suffering and stuff. But to actually fear death, I agree that I fear it, but I think that on my view, because I don't think you exist anymore after you die, that you shouldn't actually fear death because death can't be bad for you. Because if you don't exist after you die, then when is death bad for you, right? It can't be bad for you when you're still alive because you're still alive, so you're not dead. But when you die, if you no longer exist, nothing can be bad for you, right? If you don't exist, nothing can be bad for you, including not existing. But, I'm sorry, sir, did you have some evidence for God or something? What are these questions?
Here, let me finish. So what would be the point of keeping on each day and being a positive person instead of a pessimistic person? Because all I hear is negativity from you. So if you turn that around and you're like, okay, I'll be positive because
I don't think that's a good observation as far as this, because she's coming. Okay, she could be, and we could be negative as theists too. Also, we can be negative and positive at certain times. So, like, to make the observation, that would be more personal, too personal than the actual argument, because you want to be able to deal with the argument, which is in the middle, the pure argument, which has no humans attached to it, just the argument. And we're looking at it. So if you're, but like, you can't say that she's being negative toward in that situation. You want to actually attack the argument, not attack the person, because she's not attacking.
Well, I'm not trying to attack the person. I'm just saying that it has to be personal, because a personal relationship with the universe or whatever, your life, it's personal.
I don't even know what that means, a personal relationship with the universe. What the fuck does that even mean?
Just being like genuine with like your
anyone who's genuine has a personal relationship with the universe.
You said being genuine with your existence. You clarified a little bit.
Genuine with your existence. I don't know what that means.
That's why you clarify. Let's see if you clarify. Because you don't know what that means.
What?
Is this gibberish? Is this gibberish? What are you even saying?
Whatever you believe, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I believe my cat exists. I genuinely believe my cat exists. Does that mean I have a personal relationship with the universe? What the fuck are you saying, sir? Yeah, you don't want to fuck with me. Look, this is clearly a guy, Young Zealous, sorry, but this is clearly a guy who's never heard any of the arguments for or against his position. He's like too much of a rookie. We have to move on now.
All right, Brad.
Well, we should set up somebody who you should bring me on with somebody who is familiar with
somebody that studies about that debates atheism a lot. Okay, so we'll do that soon. But I appreciate that, Brad, for coming through. For real, I hit you up about the Mormon experience and stuff like that. Love you, bro. And so thanks for the support, bro.
Are you cutting me off because she doesn't?
No, we gotta. No, we should.
He can make a closing comment if he wants to make a closing comment.
I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna run this the way I was gonna run it, but I'm for both of you guys. But I'm gonna end this because I know, me personally, I feel like we can. Okay, pause this and then gather your information and then actually deal with each other on those topics with a better, more studied debate. Okay, Brad, do you understand what I'm saying, bro? I'm not trying to continue. Like, if I say it, like, I'm just trying to end it in that, so we have cordiality, so it just be cordial. Like, if y'all continue, like, we can continue that, in some way. A matter of fact, the next time you guys maybe can actually have a discussion. Clubhouse out. That's what we'll do. But we'll both join that. Okay, are you good with that, Godless? I want to continue.
I'm fine with anything.
I want to make sure we close this in the right way, because I know she don't too long. But Brad, we'll get back in contact with you tonight. All right, thank you. All right, Brody. Let's see. Okay, so Godless. So what are we on now? So you're saying, do you want me to have a discussion before we close it out or whatever, or because me?
I think it's good to end it here. I think it's been good, and if you want to make a closing comment, that's great. Okay,
so like this is my experience. Okay, so my issue with some of the atheist community is that, like, some of the Islamic community, they don't, like, with me personally, have you heard somebody say they don't want to smoke? Have you heard that before? And this ain't even a pride thing. It's like, it's literally, they don't want to smoke. That means anytime you have a good argument and someone sees, like, they find a short way to shortcut it and just say, hey, no, some way to just get out of it. So they'll make a statement and they out. So like to me, in my mindset, I be coming with some good arguments that I'd be waiting for them to actually respond. And if when you go to Clubhouse app, you watch some of the atheists, whatever the Islamic people, they don't want you to actually make a good argument. Either somebody get on the microphone and say, you're stupid, or whatever. So like to me,
they cut each other off, right?
Yeah, you know about that. Yeah. So like so to me, when you ask those certain questions, I feel like I want a genuine spar. Like in Christianity, they say iron sharpens iron. Like that means you spar together to try to get the sword sharp. Like you gotta hash it out a little bit. If you don't do that, then where's the truth at? With who? Because like if someone's telling a lie or somebody's argument is not as good or their stance is not as good, their material is probably going to be like wood or whatever, or some type of. It's not going to compare to the iron sharpen iron. It's not going to, unless you got good arguments. Like which you have good arguments, but I want to be able to one day. I want to be able to spar one-on-one with whatever religion it is, and then actually genuinely get an answer. If it was a bad answer, or if it was an okay answer. Which I never get that, which I just sit there and just make the argument, then it's just disarrayed. Like I don't know, but that. So concluding what I'm saying from here, that's part of the reason why I don't see atheism as genuine, not just atheism, but like a lot of things, because people hear those deep arguments, instead they attack the person, like what happened really. Instead of actually attacking, wait a minute, that was the atheist made a good point, or that theist who believe in God made a good point. They don't do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I see it on both sides though.
Yeah, both sides. Yep. That's why I was like, I do like this because I knew the good points that he was making, the good point that you was making in response to it. And obviously you could tell when there's certain, experience with certain debates, you could see the arguments and stuff like that. But it's like, he was a missionary. He was a Mormon, you know what I'm saying? So it like got some kind of experience, but it's like it's not really like a daily debate, you know what I'm saying, that you get exposed to. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on the show and like giving us some of your information and telling us about what your experience was. Because I had a similar experience in the atheist world.
Well, thanks for having me on, and give me the link to this, and I'll like share it on some of my stuff.
Heck yeah, y'all. This the Mike YZ podcast. That was Godless Girl. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, good night.
See you later, girl. And hey, check it out. We're gonna put it on every platform. We're gonna put it on YouTube. We're gonna put it on, you know what I'm saying? We got it on Facebook and every other place. So check out that page, Mike YZ, which would be Mikey's podcast, a show. So love you guys. If you guys want to do an interview and talk about something very deep, once I sit here, we're gonna push the camera back. And we're going to have a little, it's a chilling section, you know what I'm saying? Probably eat something, have a food, laugh like some hyenas, you know what I'm saying? But hey, subscribe, tell your mama, follow, press that button, press the like, boy. And because these going to be the topics you're going to want to talk about. This stuff you're going to want to hear. There's going to be answers. When I want to be able to speak